Hello. Nowadays, access points are not always geographically fixed objects. There is an increasing need to ensure the collection of data on people's entries in situations where installing a stationary access point is impractical. These can be temporary or remote facilities away from the main structures, construction sites, extraction industry sites, or checkpoints located on the periphery. Such a solution is also convenient for tracking personnel at various conferences or off-site seminars, which often take place in rented venues. To address such tasks, we developed the Mobile Terminal Sigur application, which allows users to create a mobile access point from a regular smartphone or tablet and record entries in places where installing a full-fledged access point is impossible or impractical. Monitoring employees with the Mobile Terminal Sigur often not only speeds up the access process, but also enhances security, as the security service has the opportunity to personally verify each employee. In addition, the Mobile Terminal Sigur can be used to mark evacuated employees at the assembly point in the event of a fire or other emergencies. According to the operating principle, employee entries in the terminal can be registered either manually with operator confirmation or automatically. The procedure is as follows. The employee brings their card close to the phone. The screen displays information about the employee, including their photo, position, department, and notes. If access is denied for this employee, a message will immediately appear on the terminal. If entry is generally permitted, depending on the selected scenario, either a message about the registered entry in a predetermined direction is immediately displayed, or the operator is given the option to manually record the entry for the employee by pressing the corresponding button on the terminal screen. Let's start with the functionalities currently available when working with the mobile access points, displaying information about employees and visitors, and registering their entries. Notification of the approaching expiration of a pass or the need to undergo training. Opening an access point for entry when using the terminal in online mode in conjunction with the event response module. The recorded entries are indistinguishable from those registered by regular stationary access points and can be freely used for further analysis. The mobile terminal can be implemented on a smartphone with Android version 4.0 or higher that supports NFC or OTG. What exactly is needed depends mainly on the format of the tags that will be used. NFC is used for working with MIFAR-type cards, while OTG is for working with Yamarine cards and others. It is important to note that OTG support is generally needed to connect external USB card readers for the required card types. The reader must have a mode that emulates keyboard input of the scanned code in decimal format. Data can be transmitted between the server and the terminal using either a Wi-Fi network or mobile internet. On the server side, port 3308 is used for communication with the device. What modes are available in Mobile Terminal Sigur? Online. In this mode, the terminal must always be connected to the server to obtain information about employees and their access rights, as well as to send entry events and access denials. Offline. In this mode, a constant connection to the server is not required, and the terminal operates autonomously. Both employee information and registered entries are stored in the device's internal memory. When a connection is made, events are transmitted to the server. The validity of the card is determined by its expiration date. B. Online cash register. The terminal is always connected to the server. It is used not for registering entries, but for selling menu items. When using the payment module, which we have a separate video about, it is important to note 2 points. First, complex access schemes do not work with the terminal. It is not a full-fledged access point. For example, it will not be possible to organize entry only with accompaniment on it. Second, like a regular access point, a camera can be linked to the Mobile Terminal Sigur, be it an IP camera or a camera from a video surveillance server. For requesting archive records from SDN, terminal mode, online, or offline. Ensure a video archive for the requested time in SDN, and the recording rules are generally not influenced by system. In the case of directly linking the IP camera to Sigur, correct operation can only be expected from the online terminal, as the recording of our archive video is initiated at the moment of the event. The offline terminal, by default, transmits events to the server significantly later than when they actually occurred. Regarding encryption, the data stored on the terminal and transmitted between the terminal and the server is encrypted using the ACS algorithm. So let's finally move on to setting up our mobile access point. First, we will download and install the Mobile Terminal Sigur application. Upon the first launch, the application greets us with information about its direct purpose and then provides the terminal ID. This will be useful for setting up the access point in the client program. The application then informs us that the system operator must have the appropriate access rights to work with the Mobile Terminal Sigur. Next, we enter the window for entering the server connection details. At this stage, we switch to the client program and set all the necessary configurations. First, let's create an access point. The principle of operation will be the same in all three modes. Go to the Equipment tab and add a new access point by clicking the corresponding button. Let's give it a clear name. For example, Terminal. Let's select NFC-terminal interface. Next, we select the type of NFC terminal depending on the required operating mode. For example, we will specify the online terminal. Next, it is necessary to enter the ID of the NFC terminal. We can find it in the application by selecting the About option. On the NFC Terminal tab, we will configure the notification parameter for the upcoming expiration of the pass in hours, for example, 1 hour in advance. It allows the operator to be informed directly within the application that the validity of the employee's pass is nearing its end. Here, you can also configure the wait time for the operator's sanction in case special access rules are used. We will leave it at the default setting. To complete the settings, we will click the Apply button. Now, let's configure the operator rights for access to the NFC terminal. To do this, we go to the Staff tab. We will select the employee we need and then go to the Operator tab. If the employee is not yet an operator, activate the checkbox Use. Next, we can finally delineate its capabilities for working in the software. We have a separate video on this. At the moment, we are interested in the parameter access to the NFC terminal. Below, we can finally delineate the operator's capabilities in working with the mobile access point. Let's examine them. Register entries in the entry and exit directions. It allows for the manual registration of personnel passes in the required direction. Automatically register entries. This allows for the automatic registration of employee entries in one direction or another upon the fact of the card being presented to the smartphone. The operator must have been granted rights to register entries in at least one direction. Authorize employee access from the NFC terminal when access is denied. It allows for the authorization of employee entries from the mobile application in cases where access is restricted for some reason. It is important to note that an access mode must be assigned to the employee, and the special rules of which the option to require operator sanctions for entry in the specified direction is included. At the moment of employee identification at the terminal, access must be denied for some reason. For example, if the mode does not allow entry during a specific time interval. We have a separate video on the nuances of configuring modes along the GUR axis. To demonstrate the functionality, we will grant the operator all possible rights to interact with the terminal and press the Apply button to save the settings. Let's return to our application. We enter the server address. We leave the port at value 3308 and click Apply button. Upon connecting to the server, we reach the login screen where we can select the name of the desired operator from a drop-down list and enter the password. We enter the password and access the application. The terminal's mode, online in our case, and server connection status are displayed. Since we have granted the operator the rights for auto access registration, there is a special button at the bottom of the window to activate this function. On the left side of the window, there is a button that allows you to open a menu showing the authorized operator, the name of the access point, and parameters. Settings. Here we can change the application theme, set a timeout for the device's attempts to connect to the server, or change the active server. Help, a tab that allows users to directly ask a question via email to Sigur's technical support and save a log of the application's internal logs for investigating potential issues. The About tab contains information about the application version, its build, and the mobile terminal ID. In this window, you can click on the terminal ID value and share it in your preferred way. Let's return to the main screen of the application and check the typical work scenarios. We will present the authorized card. We see the main information about the employee and 2 buttons indicating the direction to register their access. They are available because we previously granted the necessary rights to the operator. We will click Entry and see the display of the access registration in the selected direction. At the same time, an access event was registered in real time on the Monitoring tab, and they can be viewed in the archive. Use a card that is denied access. Again, we see the main information about the employee and the explicit events of access denial, which are reflected in real time on the Monitoring tab. Now, let's apply an unknown card. The application notifies us that an unknown card has been presented and provides its code. Next, let's review the operation of the operator sanctions. We present a card that is denied access while being assigned a mode with the special rule access by operator sanction. We see the main information about the employee and the request for operator sanctions, where we can allow or deny access to the employee. We allow access. We see the already familiar event of access registration, which is reflected in the Monitoring tab with the corresponding wording. In the case of working with an offline terminal, the principle remains virtually unchanged. The only difference is that in offline mode, special access rules are not taken into account. Access based on operator rules. All events in offline mode are stored in the device's memory, and after the connection with the server is restored, synchronization occurs. Use the capabilities and convenience of mobile employee identification with Sigur. That's all from me.